Hello everybody, welcome to Tpull's Corner. This deck is kind of a sequel deck. We're using Hidetsugo Second Right again. I was supposed to mulligan this because they only gave me one land, which is, this is kind of par for the course. I'm not in ranked right now, and this is very rare, but you know what, they've been land starving me all night. Alright, well, we hit one land drop. I need, typically I need 5 lands to make everything work the way I want it to. At least 4. And if they're not putting creatures down, I already need 3 just to put down something. Hey, look at that. Just in time. They have a bunch of extra cards, don't they? Anyway, this deck, yeah, we expect them to have removal. This deck is kind of interesting. Shoot, what can I do here? They've got... I guess I can go fix some land right now. Ideally, I need 3 black energy sources, so I'll go get another swamp. There's stories to be told about how I got to this deck. And what it says on the thumbnail. The thumbnail says, is it my fault that we got the ban for Screaming Nemesis? So that's why there's stories to be told here. I'm going to talk about how Arena treated me in Ranked, what brought me back to Ranked, my experience after that in Ranked, the initial treatment of this deck, what led to some bannings, and what led to this latest version of the deck. Let's make all our spells cheaper for starters. This is a deck based on getting stuff back out of the graveyard. So Surveil, they might come across a card they very much want to put in the graveyard. And it looks like they can mill me too. So they're just taking time to set up their board state. And they're having a lot of free time to do it. Let's see if they have another removal. They're doing good at hitting their lands. Yep, just another Virtue of Persistence spell and one more land and they can just start bringing stuff back. Let's go ahead and get rid of their graveyard. I don't want to discard a spell. It might be good for me to get rid of one of these, but let's power this up. Now if a source deals non-combat damage, it deals that much +2 instead. It makes the math a little bit harder. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, they can cast Virtue of Persistence. They can also sacrifice this now if they wanted to. That's a land. No, we're not going to discard a card. What do we want to get? I think we want a Bolt Wave. I think that's what we want. No, we're still keeping those. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're doing 1 + 2, so we need to get them down to 9. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we start We'll start with this. Down to 4. Okay, so we get a shock, and then we get Hisugo's second right, and we just kind of have to hope that they don't do any life gain. And that did it. And we didn't show them what our hand was. But we offer them the chance to say good game. They might think that we're scooping. I've been doing this a lot. It's polite to me when I'm about to win to say good game. We offered them a second chance. We waited. We'll just kill them. So it did exactly the 10, and then it added on the bonus afterwards from Artist's Talent. It didn't apply the 12 all at once, so that's why it worked. That's how the deck normally works. But we've got an alternate way to do things as well, and we're going to get into that. Spirit Water Revival. Alright. I like that card. Okay, let's go in. Let me explain what's been going on. Okay? The original deck that I had was not called Second Wound. The original deck that I had, just go search it up here. Vivi's New Right. This is the original deck that I used. And you notice these cards are highlighted now, which means that they're banned. Now, originally what happened when I went into Ranked, when I first joined Arena, is I would get dealt only one land. All the time. No matter how many or how few lands I had. So I started to experiment. I created a mono-white deck. Had less than 24 lands. Did great, and then somebody flipped the switch on Arena, and they changed the way the cards in my deck got dealt to me, and I stopped winning. So then I went to mono-red, and I created a mono-red deck, and it was fabulous. And this was right around the time Sheoldred the Apocalypse was out. And everybody would always have a turn 4 Sheoldred, and I could kill it. And then the next turn, they would inevitably have a second one, or they would just have a reanimate spell and get the original one back. And I would either kill the second one, which I could do with my mono-red deck, or I would fly over them and dispatch the opponent that way. And then somebody flipped the switch after a little while, and the cards weren't dealt to me the same way. I kept getting lands instead of spells. And so I created a playlist eventually called This Is Why I Don't Play Ranked. And it's still around. I haven't deleted any videos in the entire time that I've been doing this, all these years. So I started counting. I had about 20 lands in the deck. I had cards like the rummaging cards where you can discard and draw. It's in the newer version, not this one. And so I would start counting, and I could dig through the top 20 cards of my deck really fast. And so what would happen is they get a Sheoldred out. You lose 2 points of health on your first draw. Then I'm discarding a card and drawing 2 more, so that's 4 more points of life I lost. So I lost 6 points. I discarded a land, and I drew 2 more lands. And by the time I was done counting, more often than not, I won't say every time, but within the first 19 to 21 cards I was digging through my deck, I'd have 10 lands out of my 20 lands in the deck. I had 20 lands in the deck, and I'd always draw a 10. So that meant that the half of my lands were in the top third of my deck. I always had a 50% land draw ratio. And it shouldn't be that way. The top 10 lands, the first half of my lands, should be in the top 30 cards. Roughly speaking, more often than not. And so I was getting up to upwards of 80% of the time where I would draw that 19th or 20th card, and I'm up to 10 lands already. And you can't win with a mono-red deck with 10 lands. You need your spells. And so I couldn't win anymore with that deck, but I'd get into mirror matches, and they'd have a mono-red aggro deck, and they'd get just what they needed to beat me. So I felt that was very unfair, and I stopped playing ranked for a long time. And then I came up with the information management deck a couple months ago. You can look for it if you want. It performed so well, I went into ranked. It did well. So I reminded myself, you know what, if I go into ranked and I go up a few ranks, I'm going to get some decks for rewards. It's a good thing to do. I'm going to start doing it. Then I made this deck. And this deck was just made before the ban, about a month ahead of time. And normally what happens as a free-to-play player is I don't get these mythic rares. I don't get 4 of them in time. And so if a card's going to get banned, I'm not going to have any time to play with it because I'm waiting to get 4 copies. So I broke a rule, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to burn 4 mythic rare cards, and I'm going to throw Vivi into my new deck, and just to play with it because everybody says it's going to get banned. And I know it's an overpowered card, and people might be frustrated because Vivi was proliferating throughout every environment, and I wasn't helping this way. But blue wasn't needed for this deck. Once I put Vivi in, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to take some of my red cards out, I'll put some blue cards in, and it did really well, and I took it into ranked, and I did awesome in ranked. And then they did the ban, and they banned Vivi like everybody thought. They let the Cauldron alone, and they banned Screaming Nemesis. And this surprised me because I had done something that I don't normally do. I did research. Now, I've done research before. It's not rare that I do research, but I don't usually stop and go look on YouTube for Magic stuff unless I have spare time. I'm just watching a content creator and enjoying myself the same way you guys are watching me. And instead, I did a lot of homework. And let me go pull up the banned and restricted cards here. And here's what happened. We had in June 30 of 2025, we lost 7 cards. Hopeless Nightmare, a star of my discard deck, Hardfire Hero, Monstrous Rage, Corey Steelcutter, get over there, Up the Beanstalk, Prof's Eidetic Memory, no, not that one yet, not Prof. We had Abuelo's Awakening, and This Town Ain't Big Enough. You saw I never did even have 4 of those, and that got banned before I could use it that much. I used 1 copy of Abuelo's Awakening in a very devastating deck that was really fun for me to play. And I didn't have that much time to play with Up the Beanstalk before they banned that. You can see I don't have 4 copies of these. I have like 1 copy of each of these, and I had 4 of Hopeless Nightmare. They banned 7 cards. What I think they did is they had to ban these 3 red cards, and then they chose 1 of each of the other colors to make it seem like they weren't ganging up on red. But the 3 red cards were actually the biggest problems out of everything. Okay, so we lost all those. There was an unprecedented mass ban. Then, from June 30 to early November, so all of July, August, September, and October, not even 4.5 months later, they banned more cards. They did ban Vivi like we thought they would. This was what the conversation was all about. They banned Prof's Eidetic Memory. And then out of the cards left, they banned Screaming Nemesis. Now here's the results of my research. What I did was I went to all of YouTube. I went to the biggest YouTube content creators like Covert Go Blue and those guys. I read the comments section instead of the video. I went to the talk stations like Tolarian Community College. Instead of watching their stuff, I read the comments. I read all of the community's comments as the discussion raged about what cards needed to be banned, the upcoming ban, the timing of the ban. I went to Reddit. I went to multiple Magic subjects there. I started putting on email notifications for when the topic would come up. And I started keeping track of what people were talking about should be banned besides Vivi. Now, everybody was also talking about Prof quite a bit. These are the next ones people talked about. Enduring Curiosity. They talked about that one a lot. They talked about Kato, Bane of Nightmares. Hexproof Planeswalker, yeah. And Ouroborid. And the one that was causing me the real problem, Sheltered by Ghosts. Because it's all this life gain. All 4 of these cards in Prof were all mentioned a lot more often than Screaming Nemesis. Screaming Nemesis was like an honorary mention. If you mentioned one of these cards 4, 5, 6 times in a thread, you might see Screaming Nemesis mentioned twice. And that was usually by a life gain player who was annoyed that you could get an emblem that would stop life gain. And here's the problem I have with this is the only card that stopped me in my Rising the Ranks unranked when I went in with my second right deck with Screaming Nemesis. Now, when we look at this, there's a normal enchantment that you can do that banishes a non-land permanent. The cost for that is normally 3, 2 generic and 1 white mana. That's what it normally costs to do that. It's 1 cheaper here, and not only do you get to do that, but they get +1, they get Lifelink, And they get Ward 2. Not Ward 1, Ward 2. For 1 cheaper, you can accomplish the same thing. Instead of just a base enchantment, it's an enchantment that you put on a creature. And that's the only difference. And they made it 1 entire energy cheaper. And they gave you 3 different things along with banishing your opponent's creature. This card should not exist. This is overpowered. We can go through each of these cards and dissect them and talk about why. But, you know, these two are at least mythic rare. You know, this is just uncommon. They put an uncommon, a very cheap uncommon. They banned Hopeless Nightmare without banning Sheltered by Ghosts. Now, what inevitably happened to me is when I was winning with the first Hidetsugo second right card in that strategy, is Arena tried to put Lifelink up against me, Lifegain, and it won like the first time, and then I figured out how to do my deck, and I would start casting my own spells to hit Screaming Nemesis and do damage to get the emblem before they removed him from the board. And so I started just completely destroying Lifegain decks. And then somebody flipped the switch, and I would face only people that had Shelter by Ghosts, and they would always have one by turn 3, and sometimes turn 2, but always by turn 3, and then they would have a second one. And if I had 2 Screaming Nemesis, it didn't matter because they had 2 Sheltered by Ghosts. And if I was living with one, or was about to destroy one, they'd put a second one out. And so I lost quite a bit. I could still win against it from time to time, but I lost a lot against Sheltered by Ghosts. And this was the only thing that really stopped Screaming Nemesis for me, in my experience on ranked. But the problem is, the lifelink stuff, there's so many lifelink cards in the game. Hundreds upon hundreds of cards. And before the last 2 expansions came out, there were only 4 cards maybe in the entire environment that stopped the opponent from gaining life. So, forgive me, this is just my opinion. Maybe you disagree with me. But I thought, you know, you get an emblem. It's one way, 1 card, out of 4 others, or 4 total, 3 others, that stops you from gaining life. This is the only one that's permanent. The others, one's an enchantment that's expensive. You can get rid of enchantments. The other 2 are on creatures. You can kill the creatures. Creatures are always easy to kill. That's allegedly the rationale they had for making Shelter by Ghosts so cheap. And, you know, I didn't feel this was unfair. I thought having an emblem that stopped life gain, I mean, there's so many ways to get rid of this. You can do minus counters on it. You can do -3/-3. You can do exile effects. You can do board wipes that don't do damage. You can do enchantments that lock it down, that turn it to a 0/1 and stuff like that. You can bounce it. You can use blue to take it over and take control of it. There are so many things that you can do against this card. But people complained about it. And despite my research, despite all of these others being so overwhelmingly mentioned by comparison for an entire month, I had spent this entire month on ranked using this card and climbing up the ranks and getting as far as I've ever gotten before. Farther. And so the conspiracy theory in my mind says it's my fault. Because in the time that Magic, the Wizards of the Coast designers and people behind the scenes, all those employees were discussing what should be banned, I tilted the balance. I introduced a new card, a new deck, into ranked that just won, and won, and won, and won, and won. And I think it drew some attention. Now, I can't prove that. And you know what? I'm not the center of the universe. Well, I might be. I mean, if I'm not concentrating on you guys, you cease to exist. Did you know that? So there's that. But no, not really. No, I'm not the center of the universe. This may not have anything to do with me, but it's a fun coincidence, and I'm using it. So that's my story. I use this for a month on Ring. I tracked the conversation that everybody was having, and keep in mind that Wizards of the Coast, they have people who live, whose entire job is to monitor social media, to do community outreach, to see what people are saying, to receive emails and messages and suggestions and surveys. they should have been able to do the exact same survey that I did, just as the normal course of what they always normally do. They should have seen this stuff too. They didn't get rid of Ouroborid. They didn't get rid of Cato. They didn't get rid of Enduring Curiosity. And they didn't get rid of Sheltered by Ghosts. They got rid of Screaming Nemesis. Does anybody agree with that? Leave a comment. Let me know if you think I'm on crack or whatever. I can take it. Okay, so I can't have my old deck. Vivi's gone. Screaming Nemesis is gone. So I create a new deck. And that's the deck that I just used. And we won with the original win condition. It's called Second Wound now. Of course, after Hitotsugo's second right, and now Grievous Wound. Grievous Wound is a 5-cost enchantment. You enchant player. The enchanted player can't gain life. Whenever they're dealt damage, they lose half their life rounded up. Costs 5. Since these are so expensive, I couldn't have 4 of Hitotsugo's second right anymore. But I still needed a card to replace Screaming Nemesis that made sure they couldn't gain life. And so I went 3 and 3. And so I'm going to win by doing 10 points of damage to them when they're down to 10. Or, if I hit them below that, I'm going to throw a Grievous Wound on them, and we're going to kill them that way. To help us out, we've got Insatiable Avarice, Spree card from Thunder Junction. We can search our library for a particular card, so if we get them down to 10 and we don't have our win condition, I've got 3 chances of getting this Spree card instead and paying for it, and just putting this as my next card to draw. If I do 3 black, I can have myself draw 3 cards and lose 3 life. If I have 5 mana, I can search my library, put one specific card on top, and I'll still draw 3 cards, and one of those cards I'll be able to choose. It's very useful. I've also won by playing Grievous Wound and getting them down to 3, and then you play this on them as the target player, and they go down to 0 because they lose 3 life while they draw 3 cards. 1 Bolt Wave, this gets around hexproof. Burst Lightning, usually using it just for 1. But on occasion, I'll use it for a kicker. This is one of my few ways I can take out a Planeswalker on occasion. Got some anti-creature stuff in here. Tiered, if I just play 1, I can do 1 damage to each creature. If I play 3 mana, I can do 2 damage to each creature. If I do 5, plus the original red, 6 total, I do 3 damage to each creature. It's kind of expensive at that point. 4 Hired Claws. Whenever you attack with 1 or more lizards, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. Then for 1 in red, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on it. This is really good in the opening stage. If they put down a 1/2 blocker or a 2/2 blocker, I automatically deal the damage, and if they block, I can pump it up and make it a 2/3, and they lose their creature. If they don't take the bait, then I'm usually hitting it with a shock and getting rid of it anyway. 1 Tectonic Hazard, 1 damage to each opponent and each creature they control. 2 more lizards, a Gateblade Assassins, 1/3. When the creature attacks, defending player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. This one very important note: if they lose 1 life and Grievous Wound is out, they don't suffer any more life, because this card is specifically about dealing damage. When a Gateblade Assassin attacks, they lose a life, but that's not combat damage. It's not considered damage. So keep that in mind. One important thing to know about that. For removal, this is my Graveyard Hate card, Strategic Betrayal, in case they have like flashback cards or they're trying to reanimate creatures. I also have 1 Pit of Offerings to get rid of cards from the graveyard. We have some draw card spells. Artist Talent. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you can discard a card and draw. You can also make our non-creature cards cheaper. For 3, we make them 1 less to cast. So I could cast Grievous Wound for only 4 mana, 2 of which would still have to be black. And then level 3, if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent, or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +2 instead. Demand Answers. I don't really care about artifacts in this deck, so we're discarding a card to draw 2 cards. Playful Shove replaces itself by drawing a card. This is good to just deal 1 extra point of damage when you need to. Pyroclasm deals 2 damage to every creature, including mine. And in case you got Indestructibles at like the 2/2 level, all creatures get -2/-2 till end of turn with Miasmic Mist. This is one of the other cards besides Grievous Wound that says enchanted player can't gain life. Here it's just players can't gain life, but it's a creature. It's easy to get rid of, but it's a 3/4/4/3 with trample. And then we also have one copy of Sunspine Lynx. It's an elemental cat, 5/4. Again, players can't gain life. Also, damage can't be prevented, which is handy. I usually lose life because when the creature enters, it deals damage to each player equal to the number of non-basic lands. I have a lot of non-basic lands, so I usually end up losing a life point or two, and the opponent doesn't, just from this entering the battlefield. Slagstorm, dealing 3 damage to each creature, is a small board wipe. Or, if my opponent's near death, I can deal 3 damage to each player. So there's a couple of different cards in here that allow me to surprise kill them. What's really cool is if I get 3 copies of Grievous Wound out. then you're going to see some fireworks. I have 4 copies of Jagged Barrens, because if they're up to 21 life, for example, and they have a Grievous Wound on them, and I put this out, they're going to do 1 point to putting them down to 20, and then this will bring them down to 10, which is playing a land. 1 Restless Vents. You can turn into a 2/3 black and red insect creature. Plus it has Menace, and another way for me to discard a card and draw a card if I need to dig deeper. 4 Fabled Passages to thin out my deck, and I'm going to need 3 black to be able to cast the Spree version of Insatiable Avarice for the bottom option. So I need to make sure I have 3 black, and I usually need at least 2 red. And having stuff that's like triple black and double red for your deck, you do need to fix your lands. That's the deck. That's the idea. You saw us win once. Let's see if Arena will deal the cards the right way that we could win another time. Maybe another way. I'm having a lot of fun with this deck. The original deck was very winning. I can still take this card into ranked and do pretty well with it, actually. I don't think it's as effective. It's more complicated, which at this stage, as long as I've been playing Magic, is actually more fun for me, I think. Or at least just as fun as the original deck construction. Because I have my original strategy of just going in and using Hidetsugu second right. And if it doesn't work, I can pivot. And I can do something else. These are going to come in tapped, so I can't do much with him. Other than just attack, but I can't pump him up. But it's good that I get, against black, that I get some early damage in. That's Death Touch. That's kind of gross. Untapped land would be kind of nice, but let's just do Fire Magic. We'll do 1 damage. Get rid of it. Do they have something to bring it back? Not that they wanted to. I still don't have an untapped land to pump up the Hired Claw. They're just going to kill it. And they get a rat out of it. How about that? Not too shabby for them. Discard 2 cards. Great. Discard can really hurt us. Not gonna lie. That's right, I started saying not gonna lie now. I'm doing just what every other YouTuber says. I've been around long enough. It's really a discard deck, isn't it? They're gonna see my win condition next turn. And they have removal after all that. Look at that. They made me discard everything. And they still have more cards than me, and they did it all with less land. That's what we get for winning our first round. Now they see our entire strategy, right? They've got both of the different types of win conditions there. There's not much strategy left. There's play the card you get that you draw. That's all there is to do now. And we flood out. That should be game. I mean, if I got Slag Storm, I could survive. I can't even use that card. Alright, discard when done right. Can clean our clock. It didn't help that I got two of my most expensive cards at the very beginning. You don't really want those win conditions up front, and that's part of why you have a lot of spells that discard and draw to, so that you can, if Arena's going to keep giving you your most expensive card, just throw it away and go get something else. That's been very helpful to me. Plus, it gives away one of the ways that you can lose. If I decide that Hidetsugo's second strike is just not going to work, I can discard it, let them see what it is. They'll be on guard for that. They won't be on guard for the next card, which is different. Okay, now the question is, are they going to land star me this time? Four lands and 4 spells is actually not the greatest beginning. Let's get rid of, it's just a regular vanilla 3-2. Get rid of that now. See if the Cinderclaw will survive. They could easily have a lightning bolt or something right now. Red's got a ton of spells at this level that can take out 3 toughness creatures. Life gain? Ha! It doesn't work. Take that. Oh, look at that. They dealt 3 damage to us. I could search for a specific card. Let's kind of wait and see what happens. It kind of hurts when you have 4 lands and you don't play a single spell. But they didn't either. I do want to get a 5th land, and I would like to fix this and get 3 black. I guess I need 6 total, just so I can do 3 damage to each creature. That's a 4/5. Alright. I guess we're just searching for a specific card. This may be too little too late, because if they put out a second creature, it's their choice on what happens there. But if it's small enough, I could kill it first. Unfortunately, they're not missing their land drops, so they could put out something else that's huge. Only 4? You're not going to buff it up with anything? I think you are. +3. Anything else? Just the 7. And a 4/4 creature. I can only get rid of one of those. I can't get rid of both. Let's go get the 3rd black source. I don't know. It'll at least thin out the land by 1 and give me a chance to get a spell. But I already feel very pessimistic. And it's very unusual. Look at all the big cards they have already. Big cards, big cards, big cards. Well, that was the one I was looking for. It's not going to be enough. I would still need 1 more. That would still just do 3. So let's get rid of the Bolt Wave. Seriously? Seriously, Arena? 47 other cards, and you gave me the second of 3 there. They just need to expend, right? They just need to cast 1 more card? Or no, they just need to pump that up and do the +1. Okay, they got us. You just need to attack. If I knew they were going to do that, no, I couldn't have done 3 anyway. I drew 2 of my win conditions. There's a lot of triggers to get through there. Sometimes people need to get their daily chore in and is like cast a certain number of red and green spells, so when I can, I like to slow down and let them get their win in the way they want to. There's also achievements they might be trying to get. So sometimes I'm in a rush and I scoop. When I think I can afford to slow down, I try and keep in mind they might be trying to do some of that stuff. I'm not getting my 1-drop claw really as much as I want to at the beginning. Yeah, you can just play that. I feel like I should be much more aggressive at the beginning. Another discard. Let's get rid of our win condition. It's the most expensive one. So just get rid of this now. Draw another card. Hey, look! I finally got the card that I've been asking about. Thank you, Wizard Spy Team that watches my gameplay. Is it worth them killing that now? Ooh. That makes things interesting. They might have some more life gain hidden away. They usually do. This might be a card where they bring out the room that you can create a demon with and gain life. There you go. That's the one you're getting rid of. That makes sense. How about a second one? Let's keep making sure that you can't gain any life. Keep losing it with Phyrexian Arena. Grievous Wound won't make them lose anything more there either. Oh, they're going to get rid of Strategic Betrayal. What? Never mind. Gets rid of their blocker. Let's just get rid of some cards that allow me to play either color. And then if they want to try and make me discard, I still have the shock I can use at any time. So they got rid of one, they made me discard another. This reminds me a little bit of one of my decks. Not quite. What'd they get rid of? Discard, discard. Seriously, Arena? Against Tiny Bones, and you give me a land. That was the wrong time to run out of gas. They're digging because they need life gain now. Scry. They don't take that card. They seem to be thinking about it a long time. Like maybe it would help. Non-permanent card. What's in there? They could get a claw out. Try not to do something like that. They don't have the red, and that they could do the treasure once. Arena. Come on. I have 7 spells. That's all you're going to give me tonight. Well, I had 9. I'm gonna get beat with my own deck. I'm not gonna edit this out. This has been happening to me all night long. Either starvation or flooding. Arena's really evil tonight to me. I mean, not only do you flood me, but you use my own cards against me to win. And they only lost 1 life out of all of this. They only went down to 4. Alright, we'll get rid of the non-basic land. We'll try and thin our deck of 1 land. We're going to get a glimpse of what the next card was going to be. It was going to be a discard spell, which would not have helped me at all, so that was a good call. We can't afford to pay for that. That's all we can do. That's not enough. They win. I can't say that's a good game. 3 lanes in a row and gave them time to take my own card and use it to beat me. That's when you know Arena's just gone really vicious. There are some nights when you get the feeling Arena does not want you to use a particular deck. What I tend to do when that happens is I get vicious myself, and I say like, okay, I'll switch to my pure discard deck, or I'll switch to my all board wipe deck that was last week's video. Welcome to any new subscribers, by the way. Travis gives you a shout out. Thanks for subscribing. And I guess I should remember to say like and subscribe. And ignore the fact that I'm a megalomaniac narcissist who thinks that the world revolves around me and that me using Screaming Nemesis for a month is why it got banned, and that there's a team of wizard spies that watches my play and does things to me like this. Alright, we've got our win condition. We've got ways for them not to gain life. Do 1 damage now, because that's going to gain counters, right? So... Oops. Wrong card. I meant to do this one first, but it's fine. It only does damage to them, not my creatures. And now we have to put up with Earthbend. That's going to be a problem. I guess I don't have a choice. You can't let Mossborn Hydra stay along, not when they could power up Earthbend. It's too easy for them to have a single sacrificial land and have that scale up. It would be at least a 4/4. Look at that, a second one. So my Demolition and Ouroborate on turn 4. Lovely. If they have another creature, this isn't going to work. I missed a land drop. They can just power this up for Earthbend. Yeah, this is a problem. Never mind, they have 2 creatures. They have 3 creatures. They emptied their entire hand. I cannot do anything against that. That was the perfect curve for them. That was the perfect hand. I can do this. We're not even going to wait. Utterly ridiculous. Using a card that probably should have been banned. And I can't even chump block with Screaming Nemesis anymore. Screaming Nemesis was one of the few things that you could use to maybe block an Ouroboros and get it off the field at least. You still might have 3 other creatures that were 6/6 by that point, but at least you got rid of the Ouroboros. Now that option's gone to us. And you saw how quickly the worm turned for us on this deck. This has actually been a nightmare. I think I've only won like 5 or 6 games with this deck tonight, which is, I mean, I'm only in standard. I'm not even in ranked. We don't like getting 2 of these at the very beginning. It's not the kind of variation you want. We keep Playful Shove in case they have a second one. Or a 3/1. I think it's okay to just kill that now. I like the artwork on that. That card can be a problem. Just exile it. We can't really do anything with Pit of Offerings then. Let me save that for a turn. Not missing a land drop. I can do a draw 3 now. I'm assuming that they have just a ton of removal cards. Usually what happens. Okay, let's get rid of our own cards. And now we can cast either red or black. And our mana is fixed. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess we're just going to sit here. Are they just waiting to get up to 7 or 8 and then launch this bomb on me? Reveal the hand. Okay, what do you want to get rid of? It's mostly removal. Oh, it had to be an artifact or creature. I don't have any of those. Now they get to see exactly what's coming their way, though. We'll just do a Slag Storm. Gross. Don't like you. Okay, we're going to lose 3, but we're going to get to draw 3 cards. And we get to choose that one. They know about Hitotsugo's second right. They don't know about this one. We'll let them remove some stuff. A lot of stuff that when it dies they still get something back. That's tough on us. Yeah, let's do this. Then we bring out our land creature because they're tapped out. Get rid of this card. Lovely. Down to 8. They might have removal. Let's try it though. Ooh. Down to 3. Oh, we win. Can I do... No, I can't yet. Okay, so we wait. Let's do this. We'll give them targets. They can't gain life. So, we get to win with Insatiable Avarice. They usually have a card that... oh, they're just going to go get a 4/3. Interesting choice. Yeah, that wouldn't have killed the assassin. Now their second card does. But this has Menace, so do they attack me? They can't, right? They can't. They know they can't. And I'm glad that turned up that way. That particular combo. That's a combo that we've won with Insatiable Avarice with the original deck. But this way we can also win with it, and we win with it more often just because we have... Let me get rid of that. Just because we have Grievous Wound. Grievous Wound combos with that card more often than Hidetsugo's Second Right in order to win the game. There's a new card. I just got one copy of it. It costs 3. It's a black enchantment. It's another one where players can't gain life, and then you lose 3 life, but you get to pick the exact card you want. So I'm going to be playing around with that next in this environment and see if I like that card better. That's my next homework assignment, so to speak. Let's just give that a playful shove. They do this again. Arena must have felt that the other deck should have beat me, so they're doing something similar again. What was that? Sneak? Not bad. Gonna get a mountain. That'll let us put down a Cinderclaw. Okay, long goodbye. Maybe they should call that the short goodbye, because it doesn't take long for that to happen. Let's try this again. Since they have life gain there, maybe... I don't want to do that just yet. Maybe we'll get a land we can spare to throw away. This will stop the life gain portion. I can't attack in and trade with the Blight Priest, though. But it does stop that strategy. Okay, let's see what else we can do here. Ah, they do. They have it. Alright, so we've got to do Grievous Wound now. But we also need a board wipe. And they get exactly the wrong creature against us. This is gonna hurt. We really got some problems now. That should do it. That should kill us. Yep. So the second try with Infestation Sage, being able to replace those creatures is really effective against red. I've got a lot of red removal spells. It's kind of good, I think, because Arena is actually giving you a good tour of all the different ways that it analyzes this deck and tries to say, okay, can this beat it? Can this beat it? Oh, it didn't work the first time. If we do it a second time, will it work? Do they know enough to not to block? I think they're going to let it through. Because it took them so long, which means they read the card. We could have destroyed this if they blocked it. Ouch. Hopefully they don't have two removal spells. If I do this right, and they don't have life gain, if only one of these cards gets killed, we've won the game. We have everything we need already. They're looking at my lands as if they have land destruction. Or maybe they're just trying to make sure I don't have any more tricks up my sleeve. Go get the win condition. This does the 2 damage I need to get him down to 10. They should block this and block this. If they let this through, No. They're gonna let it through? Are they gonna attack me all in? This card is worthless now. Did they know what card I was going to get? That's not possible, is it? That's gonna kill me. I don't have enough to do anything. Exactly the wrong things. So... But if I'd done it another way, they might have been willing to block one creature, and I would have only done 1 damage. But if I had attacked with 1 and they let it through, I could have done exactly 2 points. But I only had 2 open mana. The Hidetsugo's card is not commonly used. Unless they get a chance to discard a card in your hand and get a look and a peek at what you're doing. It's usually very hard for the opponent to guess. Again, already life gain. Arena still throws a ton of life gain against me. That's 2. I can't really do anything against that just yet. Maybe we just wait and do Slag Storm to everybody. I need untap land now, though, to do it. Because they're already at 3. 1, 2. 1. Shoot. Let's get rid of the creature. No land. There's land. Thank you. Whew. Make sure you select the right one. Mini board wipe. And we are replacing stuff already. We can pump this up now. That'll make it toughness 3, so maybe it could survive a Miasmic Mist if I get my land fixed and use the demolition field over here, get a second swamp. Do we have time for all that? Let's take some time here. One more land lets me do 3 damage to each creature again. Well, they really slowed down. I mean, I slowed down. I took my sweet time. Putting this out. They only have 3 cards. What is causing such intense calculations? Maybe they just don't have anything to take out the claw right now? If they don't attack, they could just tap this each time and save me from attacking. Maybe that's what they're thinking. Or maybe they had to go to the restroom. I don't know. In the meantime, while we're sitting here, like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Are you buying my story about why they banned this one red card? The only red card that does well against that strategy. We're just going to attack in. Am I the reason playing Screaming Nemesis for a month in ranked, with devastating results, mind you? It's backed up by my unofficial research on YouTube and Reddit. Out of all the cards that are in the discussion of being banned, at the time that Vivi was banned, I don't think that people argued too much against Proft. That enchantment, I think everybody agreed with the environment, the synergy that happened with other cards, that it was just too much. I think you could still debate it a little bit. But the other 4, I think the other 4, every single time, any one of those beats out Screaming Nemesis. I really do. I genuinely hold that opinion. So is there one of those cards you think Screaming Nemesis beats out that other card? That's what I'm curious to know. We can just do this, make our spells cheaper. I don't have my regular win condition. But if I wait to attack, I could lose the creature. But if I power up Artist Talent to level 3, and we're doing 2 extra damage to any permanent or the opponent, that can really speed things up. So I don't think we're waiting on Hidetsugo's second right anymore. If we get it, I might throw it away with Demand Answers. Or, if I have time, and they're not gaining life, I could do this and this, do exactly 2 points of damage, and then play the right if I drew it next turn. Never mind. All those calculations, and they're gone. Alright, I think that we're just past an hour. Hey, what card was that? Let's go ahead and look at it. Actually, let me pull the Shrine deck and see if it'll show me what the new card is. Okay, so I got a 4th copy of Get Lost. Sweet! Alright. Sometimes I wait until I get 4 copies before I start using certain cards. Okay, so let's dig down, dig down, dig down. Where are you? Second Wound. This is the new deck. I take this into ranked as well. It can do kind of good. There's tons of life gain still around. I feel like, from what I can tell, Arena still thinks that life gain is the way to beat this deck. So even though the whole point is to go to the opponent and shut down their life gain, because the life gain cards are so much cheaper, and there's hundreds of them in the environment, literally hundreds of life gain cards. It looks at this and it still says life gain can beat you, because you're up to turn 3 before you say don't gain any life. And creatures are really easy to remove. You know, there's places to remove enchantments too. But this is, in the current environment where everything's so fast, having 3/5 drops is kind of pushing your luck a little. But I like this because it gives me something else to do. As I said, I started playing Magic really early on. Just barely missed Alpha and Beta, I think, by the time I discovered the game. This gives me an alternate win scenario that's fun to work towards. And now, instead of just this being my entire strategy, if this doesn't work, then I switch and hopefully surprise them. And this is just as satisfying a way to end the game, to win the match, as this one. I like having these two choices. I like constantly calculating what I want to do. Do I want to spend my damage on a creature, or do I want to do it straight to the opponent's face? If I don't have this working out and I don't get this card yet, if I get Artist Talent up, I can just put it up to level 3, and suddenly I'm that much closer to just throwing things at my opponent right in the face and winning that way. I have the Insatiable Avarice, which I already used once in this series to go ahead and win a match. That comes up every now and then, so that's kind of fun. I think my original configuration had a lot more boltways when I first started out, to just go throw 3 damage at my opponent's face. I don't know if I have enough graveyard hate, and you can see some of the limits on the way that I've chosen which removal cards to get. It was kind of based on the fact that we're getting a lot more creatures, and they're coming in a lot earlier, and they scale so fast that I feel like I need all these 1-drops to get rid of them at the very beginning, or these miniature board wipes that just 2 damage to everybody because they can get 3-4 creatures with the Badger Mole out that have toughness 1 and 2 by turn 2 or 3. So it's like, yeah, let me just do this and I'll get rid of all the tiny creatures. So this is geared towards expecting a lot of tiny creatures more than anything else. But as always, I'm open for feedback. I'll be testing out that other new card, the one new card in the environment that came out in the last couple of expansions that also says you can't gain life. And if I have some nice success with that one, we might see a 3rd version of this deck come out. But if you do have any other ideas or feedback about the deck, please go ahead and leave a comment. And as always, I think I mentioned once before earlier, go ahead and like and subscribe. Thanks, everybody. We'll have something new for you next time. Have a good one.